So today's video is going to be all about nutrition. Not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just going to show you what I do, and you can take that, choose to use it if you want or not. But this is just what I do. Not saying it's right or wrong. But so today we have the first of 2 long runs. Whenever I'm in ultra prep, I always do back-to-back long runs. I just think it's beneficial to learn how to run on tired legs. But so today is Saturday, first of the 2 long runs. We have 28 miles today, and over the course of these 28 miles, I'm going to be consuming about 800 calories of stuff. So each of these bottles has a scoop of G1M sport in it, which is 80 calories. And then each of these, we're going to be taking 4 gels, one every 6 miles, which is another 400 calories. So this right here is a total of 800 calories. And honestly, that kind of varies between different runs. It depends how far I'm going or what the objective of that run is. So say easy 12-mile run, I'll probably just have 1 scoop, maybe 2 scoops of G1M in 2 bottles. And I'll probably skip out on any gels. Not because it's not beneficial to be taking a gel or whatever. It's mostly because of cost, and the stuff's expensive. That's just the bottom line. But so we're working with it, taking it when we can, and kind of saving it for the bigger, more important, not that those other runs aren't important, but the like bigger, longer efforts, so we can really train our stomach to be able to handle the amount of carbs we're going to be trying to push. And I mean, this will be more pertinent when it comes to like 100-milers and stuff like that, where I'm just not really having time to sit down and like eat regular food. For the backyard, I'm definitely going to try to introduce more variety of stuff instead of just relying totally on powders and gels. And I think that's kind of where I've struggled in the past, is just taking an absurd amount of go gels and powders and just not really getting that much real food in, and it kind of trashing my stomach after, a certain amount of time, after 15 to 20 hours of doing that. So I'm going to try to switch in a lot more real food, or, instead of just having G1M all the time, maybe have a Sprite, because there's a shitload of carbs in Sprite and no caffeine. But that's where we're at for today's long run. I'm going to get all this stuff bottled up, and then we're going to get started running. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about what I plan on consuming during the actual Go One More Ultra. So I've done 3 backyards previous to this, and that's kind of helped me gain insight on what works for me, what doesn't. So I think I've always relied very heavily on gels and drink mix. I think that is beneficial to get those things in for the quick carbs and the quick calories. But I do think after a certain point, it kind of starts to turn your stomach after, 20 hours of the same thing. And I was always making sure I was on top of it and getting that stuff in, but to the point where I think I almost overload my stomach early on, and then it becomes an issue. So this time I'm looking to kind of not necessarily dial it back, but switch it up a little bit, get more real food in, and then measure that real food so I know I'm still hitting what I need to be hitting. But as far as go-tos and food that I love for this type of race, let's go over that. So some of my favorite go-to foods during the backyard ultra race would be pretzels, amazing. Sodium, carbs, they got everything you need. They taste good. The only thing I will say is they do kind of, they're a little dry. So that is one component of them that isn't the best. Another great thing is any sort of potatoes. Like, what worked really well for me is like, there was a Chick-fil-A close, so the waffle fry potatoes, those were great. Another thing with lots of salt. I have had success with ramen in the past, but then I've also had times where it's just not sounded good at all. One thing I'm definitely going to avoid this time compared to previous times is, you go to the grocery store and you're just loading up on everything that sounds good at the time. But something that almost never actually sounds good once you get into the race and start going is like sweets. Any sort of like, I'll load up zebra cakes and oatmeal cream pies, and I don't know, for some reason when I start running, that stuff just never really sounds that appealing to me. Another thing that I've found was like super beneficial and it's kind of helped me get an understanding of better foods to look at for during the backyard ultra was actually like carb loading for this last marathon, and kind of looking at labels and picking up on what stuff has lots of good carbs in it, and then also trying to find that sweet spot between carbs and fiber, because it tends to a lot of things that have a lot of carbs also usually have a lot of fiber, and that's a road you don't really want to go down because that just it gets a little rough after a while if you're consuming a shitload of fiber during these races. But so for the most part in this video so far, I've talked about the backyard ultra and how I'm planning to fuel that, but I also kind of wanted to go over like what my strategies have been for past races as far as just like marathons or 100-milers or anything of that nature. So for the marathon that I just ran in February, the strategy was a gel every 3 miles for the entire race. Kind of wanted to push the carbs more than I have in previous races, because before that it was like 1 every 4 miles. But overall, I think it's worked out to get more carbs in, and I think the more you can handle, the better off you are. So now let's talk about my game plan for that 100-mile distance. I have done a few 100-milers, and I'm going to be going back to the Lean Horse Ultra, which is the first ever 100-miler I did. Got a very ambitious goal, trying to go sub 14 hours there. It's a rails to trails, just gravel, 100-miler, 8,000 feet of elevation gain. And I think for that, the nutrition plan is going to be about the same as my marathon, going a gel every 3 miles. Granted, the miles are going to be a little slower, so they're going to be spaced out a little more, but we're still going to be trying to hit a lot of carbs per hour while we're out there pushing. So that'll be new. How I'm going to differ my plan from last year is backing off a little bit on the hydration. I think that was one of the issues with what may have upset my stomach a little bit, is I was just pushing the liquid drink and the liquid drink mixes, and like drinking 2 500-milliliter bottles every 5 miles, which is just too much coming in, and it really upset the stomach. And that's kind of a wrap on most of the things that I felt like I wanted to talk about as far as fueling these events and races. We could go into a whole thing about carb loading and how to properly do that, or how at least I've done it in the past. I think maybe I'll make a separate video on how specifically to do that portion of it. But as far as in the actual events, I think I covered most of what I have on my mind as far as fueling specific types of events. But really looking forward to the race in April. Going to be doing it for the Save Foundation. So if you guys would like to donate to that, which SAVE stands for Suicide Awareness Voices of Education. If you guys feel so inclined to donate to that, I will have a link in the description.